The United States Supreme Court has just issued an important ruling in the criminal prosecution of Donald Trump. They are granting Special Counsel Jack Smith's request for expedited briefing on the issue of absolute presidential immunity in criminal cases, where the federal judge denied Donald Trump's attempt to dismiss the indictment on that basis. Let's take a look at what the United States Supreme Court has just ruled. Let's talk about its import as well. The United States Supreme Court states, petitioner's motion to expedite, petitioner Special Counsel Jack Smith, petitioner's motion to expedite consideration of the petition for a writ of certiorari before judgment is granted, and respondent, Donald Trump, is directed to file a response to the petition on or before 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, December 20th, 2023. Let me read it one more time, then let's break down what this means and why it is so important, but a big win for Special Counsel Jack Smith. Petitioner's motion to expedite consideration of the petition for a writ of certiorari before judgment is granted, and respondent is directed to file a response to the petition on or before 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Wednesday, December 20th, 2023. So what does this mean? Donald Trump filed a motion to dismiss the indictment against him in the criminal case in Washington, D.C. federal court. That case is set for trial March 4th of 2024. The federal judge presiding over that case, federal judge Tanya Chutkan, denied Donald Trump's motion to dismiss the indictment on the grounds of absolute presidential immunity. Donald Trump argued that he was absolutely immune from criminal prosecution. Judge Tanya Chutkan said that presidents are not kings. Donald Trump is but a former president, and the framers, based on the text of the Constitution, the structure of the Constitution, and the plain language of the Constitution, and the history behind the Constitution, do not support people having absolute presidential immunity when they hold the office of the presidency. She denied Donald Trump's motion to dismiss the indictment. Then Donald Trump filed a notice of appeal to the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, the court that supervises or oversees the district court trial judge. Donald Trump also filed a motion to stay, basically pause all proceedings in the district court pending his appeal. Special Counsel Jack Smith opposed that, saying that the proceedings should take place, keep that March 4th, 2024 trial date. Jack Smith did concede that when an appeal like this is filed, there is an automatic stay regarding portions of the proceeding that are encompassed in that appeal, but Special Counsel Jack Smith stated that that doesn't mean that the entire trial and all of the deadlines and pretrial hearings and all of those things should come to a halt. So Special Counsel Jack Smith then made two moves. One we covered earlier in the day, an aggressive move to SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, saying that this is an extraordinary case. And in the most extraordinary of cases, and he cites USA v. Nixon as one such example, the Supreme Court can hear an appeal before it goes through the normal steps. The normal steps are district court, Circuit Court of Appeals reaches a decision, and then you could petition for certiorari, in other words, petitioning for the Supreme Court to hear oral argument and then make a decision. Special Counsel Jack Smith said, we are going directly to the United States Supreme Court because this case is one of the most fundamental cases in our democracy. The question that needs to be answered is pressing. Donald Trump is putting forward this frivolous claim that he's entitled to absolute presidential immunity. Supreme Court, we need you to hear this now because this falls into that rare category of extraordinary cases where our democracy is on the line, a la United States versus Nixon. Then Jack Smith also told the Supreme Court, we are doing one other thing as well we want you to be aware of. We are also going to be filing a motion to expedite proceedings before the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, which Jack Smith did as well. So it took the United States Supreme Court just a few hours before granting Special Counsel Jack Smith's relief. Now, to be clear, the Supreme Court is not saying, Jack Smith, you win the argument, nor is the Supreme Court saying we are going to grant what's called certiorari and actually hear this on an expedited basis. But what the Supreme Court just ruled there, what I read at the beginning of this episode that we did, is that they are going to now expedite the briefing on whether or not to hear this case on certiorari to begin with, to hear the case to begin with. So whether or not this case should even be heard, that is what is being expedited by the Supreme Court. And they have given Donald Trump until December 20th, 2023 to file his opposition about whether or not he feels this matter should be expedited to the United States Supreme Court. Donald Trump's campaign issued a statement earlier in the day before the Supreme Court issued that order expediting the issue of whether or not this petition of certiorari should be granted in the first place. And Trump trashed the idea that this should be expedited. He attacked Special Counsel Jack Smith. You know, the usual language that he uses. He calls Special Counsel Jack Smith deranged. So we should expect on December 20th, Donald Trump will file an opposition on the request to expedite this thing so that the Supreme Court can hear it to begin with. Donald Trump saying that he was going to argue the Supreme Court should not hear this on certiorari. In other words, this should not go before the Supreme Court.
Copilot is a personalized fitness solution. Every individual is unique, so your fitness journey should be too. Copilot's app links you with an affordable, real-life fitness coach who customizes workouts tailored to your individual needs and goals. No fitness fads here. Work out anywhere, anytime, and make fitness a seamless part of your lifestyle. With Copilot, you'll get completely personalized workouts with step-by-step guidance. Your coach continuously updates and adapts every workout to your goals, schedules, and yes, even injuries. The My Copilot app offers a connection to a real-life expert coach, and the workout plans are tailored by your coach, which are meant to be enjoyable and effective with regular progress check-ins and support, and the guidance that you need for your fitness journey. The workout programs are designed around your specific lifestyle, and the ability to work out at your convenience anywhere is amazing. My Copilot makes it easy to start and stay committed to your fitness goals. My coach is a total rock star. He keeps me motivated and committed to the program that he's designed specifically for me. The thing is, Copilot coaches, they're here to help you, and they truly want to see you succeed at every step of the way. The flexibility of Copilot with all, the busy schedules we have going on makes this the perfect way to stay committed. The fact that the workouts are planned and designed by my coach allows me to take even less off my plate and focus on reaching my peak performance. Now, I'd love for you to follow my lead and get fit and feel fabulous. Give Copilot a try to find out why it was listed by Forbes as the top-rated personal trainer app of 2023. Head to go.mycopilot.com/Meidas to get a 14-day free trial and 20% off your first month of personalized fitness with your own personal trainer if you sign up before February 1st, 2024. That's go.mycopilot.com/Meidas to get a free 14-day trial and 20% off your first month. Sign up for the new year and let Copilot help you reach your fitness goals.
So the first hurdle Special Counsel Jack Smith had to get through was expediting the briefing about whether or not this should be heard by the Supreme Court. So Jack Smith saying it should be. The briefing's been expedited now for Trump to file his opposition. Trump's going to say it shouldn't be heard. If the Supreme Court grants it, then they will hear the arguments that were made in Special Counsel Jack Smith's brief. What right now the Supreme Court, I just want to be clear, they're not ruling on the arguments being made. They're just speeding up the process to determine whether or not certiorari should be granted. And then if they take cert, then Special Counsel Jack Smith's arguments that the Constitution's history, text, and structure does not support any claim of absolute absolute presidential immunity in criminal cases. But get this, Special Counsel Jack Smith did concurrently file, as he said he was going to, that expedited request with the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals to speed up the process of Donald Trump's appeal, the notice of appeal that Donald Trump filed regarding the lower court, the trial court, federal judge Tanya Chutkan's denial of Donald Trump's motion to dismiss the indictment on absolute presidential immunity grounds. And guess what, folks? There's an additional update. The D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals has expedited the briefing on whether to expedite the appeal before it. I know, slightly confusing, but Special Counsel Jack Smith wanted an expedited briefing schedule before the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, a 3-judge panel, has granted that. They haven't granted any requests by Special Counsel Jack Smith, because remember, it's Donald Trump who is filing the notice of appeal. He's appealing. Trump is the petitioner here, and Trump is the one appealing the federal judge Tanya Chutkan's denial of his motion to dismiss on absolute presidential immunity grounds. But Jack Smith then filed the motion to expedite the briefing, and here is what the United States Court of Appeals ruled. Upon consideration of the motion to expedite the case, it is ordered that appellant's response to the motion to expedite be due by 10 a.m. on Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. Any reply is due by 10 a.m. on Thursday, December 14th, 2023. So right around the corner this week, what the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals is saying, and that's not related to what the Supreme Court did on their own, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals is saying, we want to determine if an expedited briefing schedule should be taking place on this issue of absolute presidential immunity. So we hear you, Jack Smith. You want this expedited. Let's hear from Trump. Then let's hear from Jack Smith again, and then we can try to see if we can set this on a fast track. But the fact that the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals is expediting the motion to expedite shows you that they are clearly open to this idea of getting a resolution soon. And I think we see that with the United States Supreme Court as well. Both the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals and the United States Supreme Court recognizing there is urgency here. So what will happen next? Donald Trump will file his opposition saying that there should not be expedited briefing. Jack Smith will say there needs to be expedited briefing. I think the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals is going to grant expedited briefing, and I think they're going to set a very tight schedule. And I think we're going to know about that tight schedule before, you guessed it, December 20th. And again, why is that important? Because that's when the United States Supreme Court has ordered Donald Trump to respond to Special Counsel Jack Smith's request to hear this before the United States Supreme Court on certiorari. So by the 20th, what we'll probably know is that the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals has set an expedited appeal. I think that that will probably be resolved by mid-January. And what I foresee the Supreme Court then probably doing is saying, look, we want to watch what the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals is doing because this should be resolved, we think, by January, mid-January, late January. And then I think the Supreme Court will say, then we'll get involved after the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals makes their call. I think that will take them to kind of mid-January, would be my guess, and then they'll get involved. But this is all good news for Special Counsel Jack Smith for that March 4th, 2024 trial date. And that's the big thing here that I think we all need to be focused on is, in short, the Supreme Court basically expediting this briefing on certiorari, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals pushing forward the briefing on whether or not to expedite actually works together in a way to create the opportunity to hear this case to have this all resolved in time, potentially, and hopefully for that March 4th, 2024 trial. Here's some good news as well, that the panel in DC is a very favorable panel for law and order and for our democracy. You've got two President Biden appointees, Judges Childs and Judge Pan, one George H.W. Bush appointee, Judge Henderson. So a strong panel right there in terms of resolving these issues in a law and order way. So, in terms of one of the things I was worried about is, what if you had a panel of all Trump judges? That could be problematic. But here you didn't have that. So I think that's good news for now. We'll keep you updated. That's what we got for now. I'm Ben Meiselas. This is the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers thanks to your support.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.